5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful Tuesday. Good morning, John, over here on the YouTube side, and everybody tuning in on the Slide Job Sal TikTok, as well as on the Above the Yellow Line YouTube, Facebook, and X accounts. Appreciate everybody swinging on in and spending their morning with us. We're in for a good one. I come to these shows on Tuesday mornings, hopefully very prepared. And today, I have become very prepared. There's so much that happened, I feel like, over this weekend that there's a lot to talk about. And we've had a lot of fun during the week this week, sharing some clips and engaging with one another on social media. So I'm jazzed about what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do today. So I appreciate everybody who's coming into the chat this morning, who's getting the day started with us. How was everybody's weekend? Let's start there. What did we enjoy? Jammed in the TikTok chat. Good morning, brother. How are you? I beat Jammed in my NASCAR fantasy league by, what was it, 5 points? 100 points? It was close. 100, I think it was like 5 points. I don't think it was 100 points. I almost won the ATYL picks this week as well. I was in second place. So I had a good week in Miami picking them. The only one that I didn't pick well was Ryan Blaney, who for me, Ryan Blaney was going to win that race if his motor did not explode. Something going on in that Penske shop. They're slipping a grenade in the intake manifold or something, and that thing is popping. That 12th car. I don't understand that myself. All the resources and things that Penske has, a little slip here, a little slip there. They got to help Ryan Blaney out a little bit. They're giving him fast cars when they're not busy exploding. So, Jammed, all I got is the voice and the face matched up on TikTok this morning. I tried so diligently to line it up. I don't know if it worked or not. Regardless, Larson, big weekend for Larson. We'll talk about the triple for Larson. Truck, Xfinity, and Cup racing in Miami. He also ran some dirt races, high limit. He won the high limit race on Thursday night, I believe. So the guy was busy. See, it's not lined up. What is it? Is the voice behind the face? Is that what it is? I'm so tired of trying to adjust it. I'm gonna have to find it. I have to find another solution to this audio stuff that I do. Who knows? Let's set it up for that. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I just cranked it back. It won't let me crank it back to a full second, but got some awesome skiing in at Sugarloaf in Maine. That sounds like a great way to spend the weekend. I always wanted to go to Maine, to be honest with you. Bar Harbor, that's where I want to go. My uncle used to spend time up there. We're very touristy folk here from New Jersey. We live at sea level, so we only get to see what we see. So Maine has always looked like a beautiful place to be and to visit and to hang out. I only know like the famous like National Geographic areas though. But skiing is something I tried tubing this winter. That's my closest relation to skiing. When I was a kid, I was tried snowboarding, and I spent more time sitting on the snowboard riding it down like a sled than I did actually like enjoying standing up on it. Something about being strapped into it. I used to ride like longboards here near the ocean. That was cool for me. I could get it. I could be down with it. All right, cool. Jump off of it. Let it roll out in the road. It's okay. But I'll live. Like I've bailed out onto sidewalks and onto grass, people's front lawns and stuff over the years longboarding. But something about a snowboard, very committal. You have to be very to potential injury. Got to go to Portland, Maine if you love seafood. Been several times. You know what I'd love to do up there? I'd love to go up there in like the wintertime and just drown myself in chowder just for days on end. I feel like you could get the most diverse offering of seafood chowders in America in that part of the country. I've never been further north than Boston, I think. I think that's as far north as I've been. I've been up to like Catskill. That's in New York State. But I think Boston is up a little further going up the coastline there. So but I have to make a trip. I know Loudon is this year. That's New Hampshire. I know they're not the same place. But maybe I mosey around up there. I'm still trying to put a list of races that I'm going to be at together. I know people ask me a lot, "Oh, where are you going to be? What are you going to do this year?" I have a couple of things that are happening for me where I am moving at the end of April. So not anywhere exciting, but in South Jersey still where I am. So the backdrop behind me may change a little bit as we go through a transitional period of the quote unquote studio, but hopefully it's a minor regression for a major progression as we continue to build on what we're doing here. Yeah, I really wanted to go when Martin Truex Jr. was still racing. I really wanted to see him race at Loudon. That was one of the tracks that I know his family had like a rich history of, and his dad raced at, and he ran really well there. He used to say that, well, it used to be said of him that Dover was his home track, New Hampshire was his home track. He used to, people used to say Pocono was his home track, and then people used to say Charlotte was his home track. So the guy had like 4 home track, and then Martinsville because his name is Martin. I don't know, but I have always wanted to go to Loudon, especially now with the. I loved the racing they did there with that wet weather tire. I thought that was fantastic. I will be at Dover this year. I had somebody else reach out to me and ask about Dover too, um, on Instagram. Shouts to the homie who made the Kyle Larson rage bait video. If I can get enough people to come hang out at Dover, I honestly might like. Why don't we do like a thing? Like, why don't we just like pull a cooler out? Everybody bring their favorite breakfast meat, and we can all just have a little tailgate or something. That's what I'd like to do, but I'm not doing that with like 2 people. We gotta get a couple together, maybe 2 or 3 people, maybe that'd be cool. But we get a couple people together at Dover. I'd be into it. Eat breakfast, head over to Panda Express, use the Home Depot bathrooms, and then slide into the gate. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So, yeah, it was a busy weekend. Homestead, Miami. This is one of the best tracks on the schedule for NASCAR. There's some other news though that I think I'm going to start with this morning. I'll be there with the jungle juice. That's the last thing we need. I don't know if I want to save this for the last part of the show or if I want to start with it because it's going to get my blood pumping. And I don't know if I have more energy to talk about it now or toward the end. I think I'm going to save it. I am going to start with something that's not on my list. Oh, Talladega in April is a good one. I did that 2 years ago when Kyle Busch won, and I can say that was one of the best experiences I've had going to a race. NASCAR should go back to Homestead for the season finale. It's being talked about. I have a listen. I mean, I try to listen to as many, podcasts and news sources as I can before I jump on here on Tuesday morning. It's part of the reason I don't go live on Monday. I want to really try to understand all the information and what the community is talking about before I hop on here and shoot my mouth off for 2 hours. So I haven't listened to the full DBC yet, but I did listen to the Teardown live on Sunday night. And apparently, according to the Teardown, my Homestead Miami is working on a deal to broker, something to bring the championship race back to Miami in 2026. There's a financial aspect to this, and it's a business, and I get that. But the racing product to me is so far superior at Homestead Miami versus what we get at Phoenix right now that even if NASCAR took less money, the revenue share they would gain from other aspects of hosting the championship there, I think would make it a wash. I think they would make their money back. But that's just my opinion, and I'm not an economist or a businessman, and I don't see the books for NASCAR or understand what's going on. I know there's other things in the Homestead, Miami, Dade County area that are, you know, coming up this year. I know we're talking about World Cup things, and we're talking about other events that are happening down in South Florida there. But every time they go back here, I mean, it's one of these tracks that really pushes you as a driver and as a team. You have to be the best driver with the best strategy on the best with the best car on that day. And there's a lot less question mark, oh, there's a caution here. Oh, there's debris on the track, or oh, I'm gonna run out of gas. Like, it's very much so a racer's racetrack. And I think we really saw that. I think we really saw that this weekend. I don't know. I hope they really do consider going back there, regardless of the financial incentive. A lot of people are talking about this 3-race championship, and I don't know about you guys, but when I was doing the Slide Job Pod Wednesday nights last season, we talked about this. Me and Ryan, we talked about what is it like to do a short, intermediate, and super speedway track championship trio. Um, Listen, Denny got credit for taking for the bracket challenge. I'm humble. I don't need the credit, but we did talk about it a little bit beforehand. Um, I think it's just something that makes a lot of sense. Like, I joke, but I think it makes a lot of sense for people. It's not a traditional sport like a baseball or a football where the field is always the same, and the tracks and the locations cater to different driving styles and allow different folks to perform at different skill levels because of their backgrounds. So, super interesting. Maybe even a road course, make it a 4-race championship. That'd be fun. Uh, they'll do anything they can, though, to stay in this playoff win and you're in format, though, and not go back to a points-based finale, which, you know, we'll see how long that lasts. I loved Carson Hocevar's comments this week about how he's glad that it's not points based alone and that they can go to win and you're in. I think his average finishing position is like 34th or something. So they're cooking something up over there in that 77 camp, but we'll see. But yeah, no, a busy weekend for the HendrickCars.com guys. There was a lot of red, white, and blue out there on the track. That we need to get, like, I understand, consistent branding and putting your marketing on the side of race cars. There has to be some consistent branding. But, like, maybe we just just change up a colorway or something one weekend for them. Just make the scheme a little different, a little exciting. And I'm a big fan of, like, cars having the same scheme over and over again, like back in the day, the Rainbow Warrior and the Intimidator schemes and all that. I like that. I just think you need to have an iconic scheme be the week over week over week over week scheme. It can't, that's my only gripe about it a little bit. But that's what I'm here to do, is to gripe. It was a great weekend, though. Those cars looked good on track like they always do. I don't know if you guys saw this weekend. I was at Walmart. Shouts Walmart, not an ad. They finally brought up the Lionel racing diecast, the little ones, up into my neck of the woods, along with the NASCAR Authentics, the winter circles. We don't get those up here in the Northeast particularly often. At least when I'm there, they're not around. But got some good ones. Raja and Brad Keselowski, and I got one of Kevin Harvick's super late models. More cars to pack in boxes to move. It's great. When I move, I'm going to go through them as I pack them. I'm going to try to do a little, like, a collector's corner video. Every diecast has a story, where it came from, why it means something. It's there's some cool ones that I have in the collection, but we'll see. Hopefully they all go undamaged. But yeah. If you haven't seen, Kyle Busch had his big 1851 announcement. A lot of people speculated about this Kyle Busch announcement before it went live yesterday. Um, People thought maybe he was leaving RCR or he was doing something with retirement news or whatever. Um, Super rare that drivers come out in the middle of the year and talk about things that specific about their future. But it did make sense when it finally did go live that he's going to be racing Brexon at Millbridge. Father son race. It's going to be fun to watch. It's like Kyle versus Mini Kyle. And in a stretch of racing that Kyle Busch has found himself where at the cup level, he doesn't seem like he's having the most fun. I think this is going to be a refreshing kind of restart, or not a restart, a refreshing reset for him through the year here to have some fun with his family. He's really invested a lot of time in what he's doing with Brexton and um, traveling to all these racing series to get him, to be a really, really well-rounded competitive racer. I think he and Kyle Larson with Owen, and then Kevin Harvick with Keelan Harvick. That's we're talking about kids. These are kids, right? But those are the next generation of racer after who we have now. Someday when William Byron and Noah Gragson and Carson Hocevar are veterans of the sport, those will be the guys coming up. So it'll be interesting to see, how father and son race against one another. I know Kevin and Keelan had some time to almost got on track together this year out at Kern, but I think the Bushes are making a little bit more of a spectacle of it, which I kind of like. I like that it's like an event for the fans and for folks who are following their racing careers. So really cool stuff there. Hopefully they do a lot of dirt racing. I don't know if the high limit comes back to Bridgeport later on in the year. For me, that's down my neck of the woods. So maybe there's a chance to see Larson and Bush and a couple other guys running the high limit over the summer. But I don't know a ton of dirt racing. I'm trying to get invested more in it, along with 4 or 5 other racing series. We've been hot on drag racing this week. I've had a lot of fun kind of getting back into drag racing. I grew up around going to ATYL and Raceway Park and Englishtown and all those places. They did have Adam LZ's World Tour at Raceway Park in New Jersey this weekend. They sold out both days, which says something about how strong of an automotive community there is up here in the Northeast, where sometimes we get a little deprived. It's not really the hotbed for drifting and for racing up here anymore. But they brought a great show to Raceway Park and people showed out for it. I wanted to go, just they sold out of tickets. I never got the chance. I was a little late to the game, packing boxes over here, but glad that they did that at that track. People got out there to enjoy it. I saw some clips of T-Pain ripping Pickle Rick around the track there, the figure 8. With the twerk stang, Hertz twerk stang, and the boat that they have that's a drift car. I don't know if anybody's into it but me, but I would love to cover off on some FD this year. They start in April here coming up. Formula Drift is a fun one. But the NHRA was out at the Arizona Nationals. There you go, Beals. I watched drag racing this week too. Every time I watch, I enjoy it more and more. And then bought some Mission Tortillas yesterday. Their title sponsor. Support the brands that support you, or support the brands that support the sports you love. Speaking of which, I might as well do it now. Happy Hour Racing is up on your screen. They support us here at ATYL Media. They have some great deals on some great NASCAR merchandise. They do some wonderful things to help give us a chance to get ahead as an emerging media group of creators. They do a lot for us. So I don't have it on right now. Tomorrow night I'll be donning my Happy Hour Racing apparel, but they have like a subscription box set where you can like get the latest winter shirts, you can get hats and whatever you want, like dropped monthly to you for a flat fixed kind of rate. So super cool that they do that. I'll leave the QR code up here for a little bit as we chat this morning. But the drag racing stuff has been really interesting to me, where there's just nothing like you know, just nothing like all that horsepower. You feel it like in your soul. Matthew, thank you. I appreciate it, man. We're trying to do our best out here on Tuesdays. Um, I don't know. Hopefully, as time goes on, we can make this a more frequent thing. As we get a little more free time, and hopefully take this thing up a notch here in the next couple of months, year or two, whatever it may be. But I appreciate the support of everybody who pops in the chat, TikTok, YouTube, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Cross above the yellow line in the Slide Job Sal platforms or accounts. But yeah, the NHRA. I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go. I'm trying to get out there. I'm trying to go see one up close. The last drag racing event I was at was in 2022. It was the Ultimate Call Out Challenge, and it was a diesel drag racing event in Indianapolis, and that one was a ton of fun to be at, but a totally different experience from, like, not in a bad way, just a different experience from like Top Fuel and from Pro Mods and from all those types of like drag races, which is really interesting to me. The diesel stuff is fun. There's a couple of cars out there, real like Top Fuel diesel drag cars that are super wild to watch. I won a race on iRacing and you were in it. I don't doubt that for 1 second. I usually do not end up winning any of those, so I can definitely believe that you won. I definitely don't spend as much time doing the old iRacing as I used to. I just haven't been able to get a rhythm. New update though, I'm loving the ARCA car in iRacing. My closest track is Dover. That's my home track. I don't race particularly well there on iRacing either. Last time I raced at Dover on iRacing, I went down 7 laps because I sped through the pit. It was really cool. Yeah, I seem to be like gravitating, like the algorithm is moving me toward all the folks from like South Jersey, Pennsylvania, um, North Jersey, a little bit of New York. They don't quite give me the New York metro area. They don't want to let me into those people's algorithm. Like, I'm not going to pop up. There you go, Maryland. That makes sense. Delaware. I go down to DC fairly regularly now. So they won't let me in on into like Midtown Manhattan. You're not going to see a stockbroker walking down the street watching the Slide Job Sal morning Splash and Dash morning show. You know, as they're heading off to work. But maybe someday that'd be cool. Yeah, company I used to work for used to do a big truck show in Maryland at MIR. So I never got to go. They canceled it the year I was there because it was COVID. But lots of other cool events in that world. But drag racing definitely something I want to get involved in. I should be out at the Nevada Nationals in the fall, so I'm trying to go to that one. I'll be out there for the SEMA show already, so it's just a matter of like, hey, can I fly in a day early, or hey, can I fly out a day late? Or usually it's the same week. It's during the week. At least one of the nights is. So trying to go out to that and get credentialed. They're actually doing this great program now where NHRA is like giving general admission to content creators so they can help promote the NHRA, which is such a smart thing to do. I've got lots of great marketing ideas for those who want to listen to me, but I think it's a home run hit to get eyeballs on your sport. You're talking about, for the price of admission, you're getting hopefully a lot of people who are at least interested through the gate, making some video, taking some photos, talking about their drivers, increasing their market share of the motorsports space online. So that's really cool to see them make that effort to be really, really receptive to folks online in this new media world that we live in. But I've enjoyed the NHRA. I don't really have a driver. I like Antron Brown. I met Antron one time. I don't know, at SEMA one year. Super nice dude. Just seems like a real stand-up guy. Races hard. I don't really know too many of the other ones. I know that there's that young lady from Sweden, Ida Zetterström, I think is her name. I think she also is at the SEMA show. She was super nice. That's the only way I know these NHRA folks. Brian Loans was somebody that I looked up to quite a bit in my early broadcasting career days. If you don't know Brian Loans, he's the voice of the NHRA. Um, just a really, just I don't know, just always liked his cadence, his voice, the way he presented information. So I have some ties to the NHRA stuff where I really want to try to be more involved in what happens there. Um, well, I'd like to be more involved in all the motorsports I can be involved in, but it's only 24 hours in a day. But it's interesting because the NHRA they run a long schedule. It's from March to November. It's a long haul, and they go all over the country from, you know, where they start. They start in Gainesville to Arizona. They end up in Sonoma, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, Bristol, Georgia. They're doing a special event in Georgia this year. They're a busy group. They move all over the place, and it's like a traveling circus. I mean, so is NASCAR and other racing series, but it's a traveling circus to really um, get those cars all over the country. Something different. Oh man, what else was on this weekend? So real quick update, IndyCar update. I don't know too much about IndyCar. I've been trying to pay more attention to it, but I know their broadcast cut out, which left their viewers without a home for about 12, 15 laps there from Thermal Club, which I understand there was some controversy around even going to Thermal Club because they bent their knee to the billionaires who apparently own the track or support the track. I don't know. Um, but I saw there was like a fight between Scott McLaughlin and some Italian fellow uh, on a formation lap. What I did see from IndyCar, though, that was really cool, that I haven't seen from a lot of other broadcasters, was they were streaming the race on TikTok. I took a screenshot of it. They were swiping. I was swiping through TikTok, and boop, here comes an in-car camera, and it's IndyCar on Fox's account streaming IndyCar on TikTok, which was super interesting to me. They weren't really moderating the chat or anything like that. Like they had some auto mods going on and some other things, which was makes sense. But and the only CTA call out on screen was there was like the bars lit up showing the vehicles like throttle and acceleration and the driver name and stuff. And it said watch now on Fox. And it was just trying to drive people to watch on Fox. This is it, baby. Martinsville weekend coming up for NASCAR. We're getting there. While we're talking about different racing and racetracks, this is how I'm going to try to structure the show moving forward. I think I'm going to try to cover off on some light news from outside NASCAR and as well as some racetrack news. And then I'm going to move into the series. But I want to start off with this little bit. So Portland International Raceway. We know about it as NASCAR fans because the Xfinity Series travels to Portland International Raceway, but it is in jeopardy. It is in danger. Portland International Raceway, located in Portland, Oregon, is a 1.97 mile, 12-turn permanent road course that has been a cornerstone of motorsports in the region since its establishment in 1961. The track has hosted numerous events, including races featuring champions like Mario and Michael Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, Alex Palou. IndyCar also is at PIR. In February of 2025, and get this, who to thunk, Oregon lawmakers introduced House Bill 2738, proposing to ban on the use of leaded fuel at racetracks within cities boasting populations over 500,000 people, which directly affects PIR. So no leaded fuel in cities. First of all, whether PIR is in jeopardy because of this or not, don't make a lick of sense to me. So you just want people to use unleaded fuel? I mean, leaded fuel, it's fuel. Like it's very obvious that this is a tactic to pull business from PIR because the people in town the yuppies who have moved in bought houses near a racetrack. And we talked about this last week too, about how racetracks are in jeopardy. These people move into these areas. I'll move to Portland. I'll move to Oregon. It'll be quiet. I'll live in the trees. Well, there's stuff that got there before these people moved. And PIR is one of those places that's been around since the 60s. And that's what this is. It's an attack on PIR. So the bill's primary concern is the environmental and health impacts of lead emissions, particularly in densely populated areas. Proponents argue that eliminating leaded fuel is essential for public health, citing studies linking lead exposure to adverse effects, including potential cognitive impairments in children living near racetracks. Opponents, including longtime PIR participants, warn that such a ban could severely impact the track's financial viability. Leaded fuel is still utilized in certain racing series of PIR, and its prohibition might lead to a significant reduction in events and revenue. The decline would jeopardize the track's operational sustainability, with some suggesting that the financial strain might lead to PIR's closure. The debate surrounding PIR is further complicated by mixed sentiments among local residents. While some express concerns over the noise and environmental effects, others value the track's contribution to the community and motorsports culture. Division has led to challenges in finding common ground on the racetrack's future. As of March 2025, PIR continues its operations, hosting events such as the annual Auto Swap Meet. However, the proposed legislation and ongoing community discussions have cast uncertainty over the track's long-term future. The situation remains dynamic, with stakeholders awaiting legislative decisions and striving to address environmental, economic, and community concerns to determine PIR's path forward. Always somebody doing something just to ruin somebody else's good time. That's usually how this works. So, good morning, Aiden. Glad you're here. They're just upset because they can't shower and sweat and stink. Oh, man. Never been out that neck of the woods. Never been out that direction to Portland, Oregon. I've seen some interesting things about folks about the living out there. It seems like it's something to behold. So support your local racetracks. That's really the whole point. Every week, I'm going to try to do like a little racetrack highlight, just advocating for folks to do something, even if it means going out and buying a hot dog and buying a hot dog at your local racetrack just to support the cause, or writing a letter to your congressman telling them that you're not too happy about the fact that they want to shut everything down that's good and wholesome and having a good time in the motorsports industry. So, on the flip side of racetracks closing and less racing, we have a one Mr. Cletus McFarland, Garrett Mitchell. This guy is doing it for Dale. Let me tell you. So, for those of you who are just becoming aware of Cletus, he's a YouTuber. He ran in Daytona ARCA race this year, but he hosts these other races, right? So he's hosting the Crown Vic races and the Ultima races, and flying helicopters and all kinds of stuff, which is really cool. And he had a race in Indy this weekend at IRP, the Indy 800, the Crown Vic race. What a time that was. I didn't watch it live, but he has really been able to do some fun things in the racing world and really get some big personalities involved. So, Tony Stewart was in this race this past weekend at IRP. But in the past, drivers like Greg Biffle, Noah Gragson, and Haley Deegan, Kurt Busch have participated in races at his track, the Freedom Factory. But I think Tony Stewart's probably the biggest name he's had come through and be a part of the race. Tony dominated that race right up until the last lap. He got a little spun. He got the door put on him to the guy in second place there. Ended up getting around him and winning that race. New Hampshire Motor Speedway is getting similar backlash. That's my hometown track. I haven't heard about that. And that's good that you say that, because you know what it is? I just let's see. You know what's good though is when I Google New Hampshire Motor Speedway closure, um, it's not the top of the list. There's not much here that talks about controversy, which is good. As I scroll down, I see some things about like, oh, they're taking seats out, but you know. But anyway, fill you in. Fill you in about what? IRP, or are we talking about New Hampshire? The Cletus races are a great time if you haven't had a chance to check it out. He has like a bajillion million subscribers and followers on social media and on YouTube and stuff. So, you know, if you don't know who he is and you're just learning about him from this, he has a lot of fun on the internet. So, if you get a chance to check out his stuff, I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Scroll down here. Okay, let's see. New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Let's see. Law. We're just typing in keywords. All right, in 2018, a lawsuit was filed by neighbors of New Hampshire Motor Speedway to prevent the track from hosting a country music festival. I mean, this is good news because I don't see anything major in terms of lawsuits um, or track closures since this little thing trickled up here in 2018 about a couple of neighbors being upset that they were going to have a standalone event as a concert versus a racing event. So I'll do more digging for next week on that. But Cletus just supercharged his wife's Chevy Tahoe, I think, just without telling her. I think that was his most recent video as I was watching the Indy 800 highlights on his YouTube channel yesterday. They already won't allow night races because they won't put lights at the track due to complaints. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see them put lights there. For how many races are they really running there a year that people have something to complain about? That's the big thing for me with some of the racetrack complaint conversation is, yeah, how many times a year are you being bothered by it? You know, like I lived in an apartment for a year and I was bothered by my neighbors every single night. And I didn't call the leasing office and complain every single night. I chose when my lease was up to move out. That's all. If you don't like where you live, move. That's it. It's really not rocket science for these people. And most of these people who move to these areas who are in these kind of, because racetracks were designed originally, right? Were there in the middle of nowhere. That's how they built them back in the day. Hey, let's push this track out away from the public so it doesn't bother people. And then the influx of population happens as time goes on, and people build homes and build businesses and whatever. And then but don't realize that the track is designed to be in the middle of nowhere. That's the whole purpose. Now, it's great to have a community that embraces a racetrack, right? Because there's such a great economic impact of having a venue like that, not just for racing, but for community events and for concerts and for bringing bigger business to the area. You know, you can treat it that way too. But a lot of folks migrate from other parts of the country who are not familiar with what living near a racetrack is like. They think, oh, yeah, I'll scoop and score and get some cheap land out in the country. And then they move out to the country and they realize that things are happening out there. So just because you're not living on West 42nd Street anymore doesn't mean there's not noise other parts of America. And this is the clientele you have to deal with at town hall meetings. And they usually come with a bag of cash in their pocket. And sometimes they can make things happen. And sometimes the locals in the community lock their arms together and say, nope, sorry, we're keeping it our way. So they should research as much as they want. We have a great initiative at SEMA right now. It's called the SEMA Action Network. They love when I talk about racetrack stuff on here. but it's designed to raise like legal issues in Washington around saving racetracks. So shouts to them. They do a lot of good work down in DC. Happy to be a part of what they do when I can be of assistance to them. That's not exactly my primary function, but I'm always happy to see racetracks be preserved anywhere that I can. So it's a good thing. Plus, it gets people fired up. It's like half politics, half sports, you know? All right, let's get into it. It's 7:46 here on the East Coast. We got about 15 minutes before the top of the hour. I'm sure we're going to want to talk some NASCAR now. This is it. But before we get into that, we got 15 minutes, 10 minutes. We're going to talk about the Smart Modified Tours King of the Modifieds at South Boston at South Boston Speedway. This went down on March 22nd. It was a 125 lap feature with some familiar names in the modified world. There is a rivalry happening again between A1 Jake Crum, who, if you've paid attention to racing in the Southeast in the past, this is not an unfamiliar name for all the wrong reasons. And Jack Baldwin, who Northeast, the Baldwin family, they're renowned for their modified racing. Tommy Baldwin works over at RCR. He's on the Door Bumper Clear as a host. So you probably know the Baldwins more now than you have before if you're just a casual fan. This race, though, was won by probably the best modified driver alive, Matt Hirschman. I've seen Matt Hirschman race at Wall Stadium many, many times, and the guy just cuts through the field like a hot knife through butter, let me tell you. He can do things that other drivers can't. He tries to, he's very competitive, but he tries to drive very clean, which is something that in modified world, is sought after. Let's just say it that way. So the real action here is the Crum Baldwin rivalry. And so here's the deal, right? So a while back, the Crum family were racing at Hickory, I believe. And I am live on YouTube, yes. The Crum family was racing at Hickory one weekend alongside of the Huffmans, which, if you know Landon Huffman and Rob Huffman, they NASCAR pedigree from the Southeast down there, and they run a super late model team or a late model team. And they end up beating up Landon's dad in the spotter stand. Which is unacceptable at any level. You don't beat people up at the racetrack. James, we're live on YouTube on ATYL Media. That's where you can find the live this morning. But yeah, so the Crums beat up Landon Huffman's dad, which is crazy. Like, you'd think that'd be enough to piss people off where, all right, these people are clowns. But there's a track record of offenses here. And this is just the latest in a rivalry that they're developing, I think, with a group of individuals that they may be in the wrong ring with. Different weight classes between the Crums and the Baldwins, in my opinion. But who am I? The two cars at South Boston made contact exiting turn 4. Crum sends Baldwin into the outside wall. There's conversation about tires going down. This follows an incident that happened the week prior where Crum rides one of the Baldwin cars up into the wall right near the start-finish line. This time, though, there were some fights in the pits. Some really enthusiastic language was exchanged between the two teams, other teams getting involved. I guess not a lot of – there's some folks who don't like the Baldwins already, so they're just quick to jump on. There's a lot of people who don't like the Crums who are quick to jump on. But this is continuously escalating And it's part of what makes modified racing so exciting. Is the spats on pit road and the things that happen on the track week after week, because people are running up onto the track. It's not like NASCAR where it's as controlled as controlled by race control or things like that. So they were grabbing each other around the neck, pulling each other out of the cars on the track. Tommy Baldwin, who had a heart attack like a year ago, irate, screaming at the top of his lungs in the pits, which was wild to see on video. He is a passionate individual. I will tell you what, I would not want to go toe to toe with a angry Tommy Baldwin on any day. But I mention all that to continue to bring awareness to the Crumbs racing pedigree, or their lack of racing pedigree, I should say. In 2014, they were allowed to run in the NASCAR Truck Series. During the North Carolina Education Lottery 200, Crum wrecked Ryan Ellis as a retaliatory move. So that's how you're starting your time in NASCAR, because with a retaliatory move in your first race or in your first major, at Charlotte, a major event, maybe not the first event he was in, but a major event. So NASCAR downgraded his license after that incident, preventing him from running on tracks longer than 1.25 miles for a month. Then in 2023, there was Crum was charged with simple assault after an altercation on the spotter stand with Robert Huffman following an on-track incident involving Huffman's son Landon and Crum's wife, Annabeth Barnes Crum, where Annabeth ran over the back of Landon Huffman's car. I remember watching that video clear as day. There's a TikTok I did about it that got taken down for sensitive content. Had over 100,000 views. It was a heater. It was a heater. But that was a wild race. That was a wild incident that happened down there. NASCAR suspended him for the rest of that 2023 season, barring him from applying for a competition license until 2024. And here we are in 2025. And he's just right back at it, like a cockroach that won't go away. There's only so many times you can step on people's toes and piss them off until you do it to the wrong person. And the result is not going to be what they want it to be here. I can guarantee you that. The Baldwins are, a very popular family in the modified world. The boys are getting a chance. Jack's getting a chance this year. Somebody's getting a chance at ThorSport in the Truck Series even. So there's that to be mindful of too. There's a lot of connections there. And it was up to me, they would just take the Crumbs and just bar them from all racetracks. I don't even want them in buying a t-shirt from me. It's just a repeat cycle of offense. And it's not good for motorsports, especially at a local track level, right? You got young people coming up, trying to learn their way through racing. And here's these two babas running around, running people over, fighting people in the pits. I get it. Tensions boil over and people get excited and these things happen. But not when you're at a NASCAR level, hooking people, retaliating, and getting your license downgraded. And then, okay, I'll come back and I'll do this. And I'll come back and I'll do this. And I'll just race. Just race. Fight people in the spotter stand. It's unacceptable. People don't do that. You have to have some professionalism and courtesy for your competitors. You agree with something? Their life is bigger than just motorsports sometimes, than what's right in front of you. Everything looks big up close. So in that moment, I'm sure it seems like it's worth it to throw hands, but it ain't. And these folks can't seem to figure that out. So there you go. Jammed. I didn't know Jammed's name was Cody. Wow. Cody. I don't know too many Codys. Now I do. Oh, man. I appreciate everybody who's on YouTube, TikTok. We're live. This is the Above the Yellow Line YouTube Facebook, and X account. If you're on those platforms, you can find me. You can find me here every Tuesday morning for the Splash and Dash Morning Show. I appreciate everybody following along. Dallas, I see you followed along. I appreciate you. Let's see, who else did I miss? Did I miss anybody? James Hopkins, thank you for following. I appreciate that. Appreciate everybody who's popping in, stopping in, sharing the live, liking the live, being a part of the chat, telling us what they want to hear about. We're recapping a busy first hour here, talking a lot about PIR closure, potentially new laws in the area restricting the use of leaded gasoline, leaded fuels. We're talking a little bit about New Hampshire and their struggles with some local government. We're also talking about Cletus and the Indy 800 this past weekend. Tony Stewart was putting a spanking on them boys to the last lap before he got spun out. But I think he said he had more fun racing in that Indy 800 than he's had in a race car in a long time. Tony left behind the NASCAR life. He didn't like the way the sport was going. He went over to the NHRA. He races Top Fuel car, which another reason to get involved with NHRA. There's great drivers over there, including some that are familiar to us. But we did talk a little bit on HRA as well. They're Arizona Nationals. Ron Capps, by the way, didn't talk about this earlier, but Ron Capps' car exploded in half. Do not know how he walked away. Craziest thing. One of the craziest things I've ever seen. They build those cars to explode, by the way. But the car explodes, and then he whacks the wall too, the divider. And I mean frightening looking wreck. Like not like a ball of fire, but not a ball of fire. But he walked away from that, which was really, thank goodness, because that was scary looking. So we talked a little NHRA. We talked a little Smart Modifieds tour. The Baldwins versus the Crumbs. It's like heavyweight night at South Boston. The Crumbs. Jake and Annabelle Crumb. Can't get them to go away, but they seem to keep poking the bear. We'll see what happens there. Luke is driving trucks. Okay, Luke and Jack are the Baldwins. There's so many people, so many names. I don't know any of these people. Like I just sit here and I talk. That's fine. Like I have to try to familiarize myself a little better. We're also setting up, by the way, as we're getting into the top of the second hour of the show, we're also trying to set up a giveaway, some merch giveaway. Oh, see, I knew after an hour I'd have to slide the slider. Yep, there we go. We're also trying to set up a merch giveaway as part of a broader effort to reach 5,000 followers on TikTok. So expect some news coming. It's coming there. People have asked me about these hats too. I reached out to the individual that I bought this hat from. This is a 101 that was made. They're just super expensive to make 10 of. So if I bought 10 of them and then I laid the cost off onto you folks who want to purchase one of these fine pieces of headwear, it's a little pricey. It's like a $40 hat. I don't know. That seems like a lot of money to me. But we're going to try some other things to help grease the skids here. Get to 5,000 on TikTok. It's been a goal. I'd love to be at 10,000 on both Instagram and TikTok. That's my real big goal for the future. But we'll see how we do as time goes on. Let me scroll up my notes. Hold on. I have pages of notes from this week. Okay. The notes get a little shorter here. This is where I'm going to rely on all of you to give me your feedback on what you saw this weekend at Homestead, Miami. I saved my NASCAR. I'm trying to save my NASCAR stuff for the second half of the show now because most people, believe it or not, are not up and around and awake at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about the NASCAR Cup Series or the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series. So I'm trying to hold on to this for the second half, and that's where we are. So if you're just tuning in, we're doing a little recap. We're doing a little parlaying into the second hour. While we're here, actually, too, we'll do a little ad break. Not an ad break, but we'll tell you about Happy Hour Racing. They are a sponsor of Above the Yellow Line Media. They do some great things for us. They offer a lot of great officially licensed NASCAR gear. Check them out. QR code is on screen on ATYL Media streams. They don't know what they're missing. Hopefully we get a little additional traction. The next couple of, I'm hoping like this, like my content has evolved a lot over the last 2 years. I really started doing NASCAR specific stuff when I started applying to jobs in the industry. When Stuart Haas was around, I applied to work there, and they actually called me back. Now, I didn't think I had a snowball's chance in hell to work in professional sports at any level. And once I found out that I could get a call back from somebody, I was like, well, I need to build a book of experience here. I don't have motorsport specific experience, automotive. I had done broadcasting for soccer and for basketball in the past, and I had some experience there. Didn't really know what it all meant or how it was all useful. But I got a call back from SHR for some kind of like social content, digital management role. And while I was in the interview process there, I started making TikToks about, like fan made TikToks, edits, cuts, hype videos, things like that, using CapCut templates. This was when CapCut was first coming out. And Matt Tift saw what Sal was up to, while Stuart Haas did not particularly need Sal's services. Matt Tift brought me on to work with him. That's why Matt Tift's my Live Fast contract, very proud of, sits right there behind me each and every stream, each and every day on the wall. And I worked for Matt Tift for a year and Live Fast Motorsports and BJ McLeod, some wonderful people over there. So that's how we got going in this. So my content has evolved from what it was then to what it is now. Did a little iRacing for a while, and now here we are. So trying to do news, getting involved with Taylor and Above the Yellow Line Media, getting involved with sponsors like Happy Hour Racing, who support our sport, and all of the wonderful people who want to have great new merch and support their favorite drivers, teams, and brands. So that's my shameless top of the hour hashtag ad plug for myself and for all of you. I'll tell you what. Can I put this on screen? This is like, I want one of these. I got to ask Taylor for one of these bucket hats. This thing is dope. All right. Can you see me wearing this bucket hat? I can. Out at the track, 150 degrees, just boiling away in this bad boy. You know what other hat I have? Let's see. It might be too big. It might not even fit on screen. It might not even fit on screen. Oh, somebody scanned the QR code. Thanks, guys. Let me see something real quick. My back's hurting bad today. Bad back. Guys got a bad back. Uh-oh. See, now, can somebody make me one of these? For, like, me? Like, with my logo on it? That'd be pretty sweet. This is one of my favorite pieces of apparel when I go to the racetrack. This is one of my favorites. I wore this to Dover last year. Let me tell you, I was feeling my best, like a Michael Phelps effort. You just get out of the pool, you're feeling great. 7-time gold medalist. That's what I felt like wearing this hat. Long way from Buc-ee's, though. I'm a long way from Buc-ee's up here, but I'm glad we're hanging out and having a good time this morning, John. We're gonna get into the NASCAR stuff right now. I'm gonna go put this straw hat away. That's for me for later. Screen grab. All right. Anyhow, we'll keep on moving here. So, the truck series. This was the I met BJ at Concord Mills. Took the time to talk to me, my friend. Made me a fan for life. He is a real human being. I met him 2 or 3 times over the course of the year that I worked for Live Fast there as a freelancer. Um, I mean, homie, like told me all like standing in the race shop talking about his whole back is tattooed, which if you've seen BJ, you know that makes sense. He's the affliction guy, but he's just the nicest guy. Um, Big dude. Like you see him on TV and you think, wow, that's a big guy. He's squeezing in the car, but he's a big dog. He's just like muscled up. Um, and he loves racing. So I know there's a lot of talk about that 70 team right now with all the stuff that happened in Phoenix with Catherine Legg, and it's not like they're doing it out of a bad place, right? They're doing everything that they can to help promote motorsports and racing, especially in NASCAR. He essentially, from what I understand, he pays for a lot of this stuff out of his own pocket from his other business endeavors that he has. He don't have to be around NASCAR anymore. He could ride off into the sunset, but he chooses not to, which is nice. So he's good people. He just did the podcast "Rolling with the Punches" with Jesse Punch. So if you get a chance to listen to that, I would encourage it. But good people, good guy. I was screaming and hollering. At Daytona one year during the duels when he went to the front of the pack there, when Denny pushed him to the front of the pack. What a moment. That was huge after having just worked for the team that year. Coming off of that, it was awesome to see him succeed at that moment. So good folks over there. They work really hard. They do a lot of good things, and hopefully we see more 78 out on track in the future. But Craftsman Truck Series, the Baptist Health 200. We saw the Kyle Larson show begin for the weekend. It was Heim time, though, for most of this race. Now, eventually, they'll change the Craftsman Truck Series to the Corey Heim Truck Series because he is at the front or in the front or winning almost every race. There are very few drivers who can really do what Heim is doing in the equipment that he has. And I think that speaks to a lot of what is happening in the Truck Series right now. Larson, though, in one of those HendrickCars.com trucks, absolutely just carved up the field. Him and Ross Chastain made moves that I was unaware could be made in trucks, especially at a place like Homestead where you have to carry a lot of speed to get your slide job done. Miami, one of the home of the slide job, a lot of the time, trying to come off that corner in 1 and 2 and really, stay low, rise up, cut the nose off, don't get the wall, and get away before you can get yourself in trouble. Lane Riggs, not a pretender this season in the Truck Series. I know there was some speculation about him after the fact of his year last year. People were not, I guess, super convinced that he could do the things that he was doing consistently. So here he is now. Lane Riggs. This is the guy. He's at the front, running really, really strong for a couple weeks in a row here. So really amped to see him do well. This is the same man who threw out his shoulder celebrating. So he's one of us. He's one of the real folks. Jay Bird, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. But Heim and Riggs went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth in the second stage as Larson continued to kind of stay in the mix. Always seemed to be looming. He and Chastain looming kind of on the outside, waiting for the time to kind of sneak in there and strike at the most opportune moment, which you expect from cup level talent when they race down in the Truck Series. Larson spins out late. He tries to shoot in and take position from Riggs, washes up. The air on the front of the car is disrupted by Riggs's truck and spins himself. Locks it down, though. Saves the truck. Nothing banged up. Nothing broken. Everything's fine. So And in such Kyle Larson fashion, he goes down the pit road, or I'm sorry, he only loses 2 spots. Um, and it's right about this time as well that Heim starts experiencing electrical issues. Now, this is what a lot of people call the Hendrick kill switch. Somebody believes that Rick Hendrick has a red button in his office, and anytime he wants a competitor out of the race, he hits the button. No, I'm just kidding. But no, this was right about the time that Corey Heim starts having some pretty serious electrical issues in his truck. The truck is just flipping off, just shutting off. Um, he's cycling through power, trying to get the truck to refire again. So he's just at certain points, you see him just look like he puts his foot on the brake. It's because the motor just cuts out on him and he's just coasting around the track. But that ultimately would be what kept Heim from winning this race. Larson was faster than Riggs for sure. Chastain gave a late run to try to take position. They were cutting each other off on the front stretch there, exiting 4. There's such a run you can get coming off of 4, and we saw it all weekend in the Truck Xfinity N Cup Series. It was wild to watch how drivers position themselves to get the run, and then how the lead car would try to block that run. And people got real frisky. I'll tell you what, there was some frisky driving out there trying to block some big moves as they were heading down closer and closer to that apron on some of the series this weekend. But oh man. But yeah, that's kind of the deal with the Truck Series. Larson won that race. This was the first of 3 races he ran this weekend. People thought this was it. We're starting weekend off right. Kyle Larson, young money. But then we got to Saturday. And we got to Saturday, the NASCAR Xfinity Series Hard Rock Bet 300. Larson back in a, you guessed it, HendrickCars.com Chevrolet. So Larson again, smart teamwork. We know this about Hendrick Cars, Hendrick Motorsports. Fast cars up front, Sam Mayer. Fast car up front, Justin Allgaier, all day long. Sheldon Creed committed to the top lip of ripping that wall and ripped it and ripped it and ripped it and ripped it all day long. By the way, that car, that Ranger Boats car, whatever that red, white, and blue car is that he's running, one of the best looking cars on track, by the way. And Sheldon Creed, in my opinion, is out driving what he's being given right now. But that's another conversation for another time. Kyle Larson did not start at the front of this field in the Xfinity Series. He worked his way through in the first stage. Again, breaking into the top 5 as they got the second stage underway. Justin Allgaier and Sam Mayer, obviously fast, were really the ones who were competing against him for those top positions. Toward the end, Larson dominated a lot of the final stage, leading 132 laps. However, a late race caution due to a spin by, I believe it was Sam Mayer in the end, erased Larson's advantage. I think he was out in front by over 10 seconds on a pit cycle. He was, when I flipped it on late, he was way, 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 way out in front. And he was cruising. But the caution waves, and it was a real caution, or was it Taylor Gray in the 54? It was Taylor Gray, I think, who blew a tire. I think that's what I'm thinking about. I mean, I can't pull it up on screen because the YouTube people will yell at me. So I don't want to get the ATYL Media YouTube channel in trouble. So I don't want to do that right now. But I'm pretty sure it was that 54 car that had a flat, brought out that caution. They re-rack them. Overtime restart. Allgaier just had fresher stuff. Took Larson, off guard, and had to fight off Sam Mayer, had to fight off Austin Hill, but won in Homestead. This is back-to-back wins for Justin Allgaier. He also earned the first $100,000 Dash for Cash bonus of the season in the Xfinity Series, which is a really cool thing. If you don't know, certain races throughout the year, you can win a bonus. And they have different Dash for Cash drivers, and it's all about finishing position. Similar to the kind of what we'll see in the summertime with the bracket challenge. That'll be really cool. But this is more of a direct, like, here's some cash in your pocket bonus situation. All right, cool. And we'll go. I'm going to go into some point standings after this. After we do a little brief recap here, but it was very much so a Larson heavy weekend on the broadcast as well. That's why a lot of what we're talking about is about him, because that's where so much of this media has come. I came back thinking nobody was here. Checked you out, 6 strong. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I don't know how many people were on the YouTube, but I know we get a lot of. It shows me a breakout if I click on this. Does it show it to me? No, it doesn't. It's tough in the morning. People are still starting their day out. I appreciate everybody who stops in. I know it's not nobody can really who can really sit down and watch 2 hours of consecutive morning show on a Tuesday morning. Not many people can. Oh, it was 7. Perfect. I love that. Not many people can do that. It's not, it's not really that feasible, but I love being able to chit chat and have people come in and out and pick up where we left off and ask questions. So I'm glad you're all here. Now, the Cup Series. We had some issues in the Cup Series early. Were they even going to race this weekend because of the wildfires going on in South Florida? But they were able to get that under control. It was a hot one. Homestead's always a track where, track surface is a big deal. We know that it eats tires. We know that it's hot. We know that you're going to have to put the car in places that you are not comfortable with to get the results you want. There was some conversation, too, about Cup Series Sunday. These are recorded on YouTube. You can go back and watch them anytime you like. ATYL Media is the YouTube channel that you can find these on. It's Slot Job Sal's partnership with Above the Yellow Line Media. We're all partners together over here. There's lots of great shows. But if you go to the live tab, you can find my show, which is it has its own little logo. Looks like me, like a little animated version of Sal, with the kind of the logo that's down in the corner here on TikTok. So you'll see it. But yes, you can listen back to shows or anything you want to do on the YouTube. We appreciate that support. So there was some conversation about what did the stands look like at Homestead. People already trying to poke holes in a championship bid on Sunday morning. Oh, is that as light of a crowd as I think it is? Place looked pretty packed out from what I saw on Twitter. All right. Apparently there was a nest of bees in the one section that had everybody running. So that was a little misleading. But these things happen. It's an outdoor venue. Bees live outdoors. Sweet beverages, sugary things, bees, heat, people. These things happen. But people trying to stir up a little nonsense about, we can't get enough people at Homestead, Miami to support a championship race there. Bunch of malarkey, if you ask me, but whatever works, whatever gets your timeline popping. One thing I didn't realize about this track, though, is how close it is to, like, the Bahamas. Like, it is very South Florida. Very, very, very South Florida. Also, by the way, take a minute. Shouts to the NASCAR social team and Carson Hocevar and the people that made the GTA video for this weekend's race promotion. Just a full round of applause for them. W's in the chat all day long. Absolutely one of the most creative, well thought out, well produced pieces of social media content I may have ever seen. I mean, from the way that they produced it, shot it, and edited it, to getting Carson to do the motions like the game. I mean, I talked about it a couple weeks back about how Hocevar and Gregson were really two drivers that I felt were at the forefront of changing the culture of the sport and bringing in new viewers and kind of bridging that generational divide in NASCAR. And this is prime time example of that. So NASCAR, whoever the videographer was, the creative directors, whoever is the management, the social manager, the admin, just wonderful, 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 wonderful. More of that, please. I know that's not an easy thing to do. It takes time, it takes planning, it takes resources, it takes money to pull off those kinds of, we watch it on Instagram and we think, wow, that's cool. But it takes so much effort behind the scenes to make a piece of content like that happen. Really amped that they were able to pull that off because it was super cool. Super cool that they were able to do that with Carson and with the GTA thing. That was something that was really refreshing to see on what was they posted out like Saturday morning. It was awesome. But Homestead Miami, we're back at okay. We're gonna reset the wheels. The tire management here is such a big deal, and we saw that all weekend long. We saw it especially in the Cup race. Sorry, I'm very distracted right now. I'm reading the pop-ins on the chat. I don't know if that people, what bothers me? We're just talking about social content. People like steal real names on TikTok. So like you'll see like someone joined your live and they'll have a name of someone who like is notable in the industry or someone, but you go to their profile and it's not, it's lies. So you have to be very cognizant of people who are like misleading folks and using their names. We were just talking about Carson Hocevar and his wonderful piece of GTA 6 social. Now there's a Carson Hocevar in the viewer list. I had this same trepidation when Daniel Dye joined the stream the one time. You never know if these people are real or not. This is the internet. But if it is the real Carson Hocevar, Carson, thank you for your wonderful efforts and your wonderful acting in that piece of social content. Loved your comments too about racing to get in to win. Winning you're in. That's what we're all about. We love it. See? And you knew this was where you had to be. We're talking about it all the time. We got to get you and Noah in some more social content together. That'd be good. Get the Rizzler back out at the track. Get the Chili's with the Rizzler or whoever at the next race out at Martinsville. Some hot dogs go a long way. The glizzies. Noah was talking about how Homestead Miami gets him bricked up, which was not something I expected to hear on a broadcast this weekend. But regardless, I think Homestead gave us one of the best races of the year. Yeah, it was an odd comment from Noah. I was like, it was like not like it wasn't like prompted in conversation. Like, are you excited for today? Like, no, yeah, man, I'm bricked up. Like that's not really something I'd expect to hear on a national broadcast. But yeah, that was actually Carson Hocevar. That was actually him. Yep. Dang, that's crazy. We've had them all now. We've had quite a few folks pop into this TikTok live stream chat over the time I've been doing this. Yeah, so did I. I didn't want to like call it out and not know, but I clicked on it and there he was. I guess so. I guess. Daniel Dye, who else? Carson's definitely the biggest of the bunch. He's definitely the biggest of the bunch. We're big. We're hosts of our stands. We think we're big on hot on Hocevar. See, now that's something that would also be kind of an out of left field comment for Noah to say on the broadcast. Sabrina Carpenter's hot for Hocevar. Oh no, that's Byron. Sorry, Byron. Oh, that was great, man. The height comparison thing was funny, and then as they're talking it over, it's like, I'm glad you have a microphone in your hand and not a steering wheel like that. Like you see Carson trying not to laugh in that moment. That all drivers broadcast is so much fun to listen. I hope it's as much fun for them to do as it is for us to be listening to at home, because they do a great job. It's so much fun. I was laughing my ass off when he said that. Oh man. Pit Road was a busy place at Miami. We saw the 22 do a little pirouette move around. 21 got into the 5, spun around. There was a lot of interesting things going on Pit Road. That was where my ears started to perk up at Homestead this weekend, that first stretch of the race. Despite the softball size hole in the car for Larson right there out by the exhaust exit on that left side of the car, left side, yeah. He ran that thing up as close to the wall as he could all day. Didn't seem to matter any kind of damage he had from that incident. I don't like these notes, the way these notes are set up. I don't know why I did it this way. We saw Alex Bowman, though, on the pole. Started the day on the pole. I'm jumping all over the place. I'm very distracted. We saw Alex Bowman start his day on the pole. The 48 team needed a strong showing. They've had great, consistent race results. Those Hendrick cars between Bowman and Byron, they love finishing consistently, which is great news for Bowman, as that seat kind of heats up beneath him. To have these kinds of strong performances it is huge. It's huge. So he wasn't able to pull it off in the end. I think he blames himself, but I can't see how. In the moment it's frustrating, right? And you blame yourself for cashing the wall, but it's not an easy thing to run that wall like that. I mean, I don't know how anybody does it. It's just, you're trying to save your tire enough so you can be as fast as you can at the top of that wall. But the tire's falling off as you're running up to the wall every lap. So every lap, the entry changes, the throttle input changes, everything shifts, the brake changes, everything changes a little bit every lap as they go on. And just the mental fortitude that it takes to do that lap over lap. It's not like muscle memory where you can just the same thing. It's constantly and dynamically changing, which makes it so difficult, in my opinion. But Larson, just ran it better than everyone else. He had the most laps the whole weekend, so it made sense that he would come out there and run up at the front and really make big strides throughout the race. Bubba looked great in that 23 car for 23XI Racing. I loved hearing him and Freddie on the radio. I guess they pushed it too hard and they didn't save tire where they needed toward the end. And after he got past, I think the frustration started to subside a little bit. Like, you're not going to win, but you're going to have a good day, because he had situations this season where he was DNFing or finishing in the back of the pack because of incidents outside of his control. I think the best finish he had this year was in Atlanta. It was like a top 10 in Atlanta, but it was such a big day for him and needing that kind of positive result, even though it wasn't a win. P3 is you're on the podium. That's something to be proud of after kind of struggling early in the season and getting yourself back in a groove. It starts with baby steps, and you take those steps forward, and you hope that team can carry some momentum. So, and then we can go to Ryan Blaney as we're going through our list of talking points here from Homestead. You go down to Ryan Blaney, the car just explodes. The car was the fastest car on the track all weekend at the Cup Series level. The thing just grenades. I mean, he's running these guys down to go get the lead, and it just pop, done, see ya. Understandably frustrating. This is the second time he's had a motor blow this year out of that Penske shop, and it's tough. The 12 car is going to end up in victory lane at some point this season, I would imagine. So it's just a matter of like when it all comes together for him. But they'll have to wait another week. We know he's good at Martinsville, and that's where they'll be next week. I see people talking about the 9. Chase Elliott. I don't know. Things are not looking so hot for him. He caught a pit road penalty this weekend that kind of put him on a banana peel And things really didn't improve much throughout the rest of the day for him, unfortunately. I don't know what gets the 9 back in contention. I don't know if he wins the race this year. The race he won at Texas last year was fluky at best, in my opinion. Just a result of the cautions and the way that the things fell at the end. I thought Ross was going to win that race last year. Wallace is going to move up through those standings. Just watch it. Oh, yeah, 100%. I think if he can get finishes, he's going to that car's consistently going to be in the top 10 every week if he can get out of the way of some of the mess that's happening around him. I mean, if you've watched Bubba for long enough, like, he's come a long way in his career. And now it's just a matter of how can he manage his own stuff to get out of Dodge with a good result every weekend. Where the heck was Reddick? I expect to see more out of him in Homestead, the 45 car. Yeah, they just didn't seem to have the speed all day. The most I saw him was when he was running in like 7th. They kept showing the battle for Reddick. I think it was the 45, the 2, the 11. I think they were all kind of in the mix there for that 7th position for a good while. And that was the most I saw of Tyler Reddick all day. I had him in my ATYL picks league this week. After what we saw him do with Blaney last year in the fall, it was I thought it was a shoe-in to have him do something. So I guess they just didn't have the car set up the way they needed it to, or something. They didn't like something about it. Okay. Oh. Yeah, Reddick is a driver that like you'd expect to be kind of leading the charge every week for the Toyota camp, especially for 2311. But things are changing. I'm so glad Carson Hosbar was in here. I've talked so highly of his social media presence, and lo and behold, here he was in the chat today. I love that. I saw somebody shout at him too in driver intros. Carson, I have a 1200 I rating. Let me be your backup. Just crazy. Just crazy stuff. You talk about sounding the alarm. What's going on at RCR? Are we going to talk about it? Are there any RCR fans here who want to sound off on it? Because things ain't looking good in that camp. The 3 ran up front pretty good for a while at the beginning. And then I guess as the day went on, the car got worse because it went away. The 8 didn't have much success either. It went away in a hurry. To the point where the car just disappeared. They were racing for 30th. He and Shane Van Gisbergen were racing at the back of the pack. Byron came up, lapped them. Not something you typically see from a driver like that. Gotta be getting frustrating in the 8. Now you have Austin Hill running a select number of races in the 33 car, which is something to take note of. I think it's something to take note of. I'm starting the rumor mill, I guess. I don't think guys run a select, number of cup races unless it's for a reason. And if they're putting Austin Hill in that 33, there's a reason that he's in that 33 for 5 races to get that experience. So I'm just keep your ears to the ground on that, your finger on the pulse, as things change and maybe people are getting a little frustrated. But I would love to see Kyle Busch become a hot free agent this offseason. I don't know where he would go, but I'd love to see him become a hot free agent. I think there's a few places, Chevy-backed teams, that would like to see him. I think Spire may be one. I don't know if that's an upgrade in equipment, but it's kind of a Hendrick back team. Trackhouse, maybe. Could be something. Maybe there. There's a few teams that he may be able to jump ship to. But his contract is up at the end of this year, so we'll see what happens there. Brad Keselowski, not sure what's going on over there in the RFK camp with him in particular. I will say, though, Ryan Preece is having a wonderful run of success right now. It's been great to see him. He's a Northeast Modifieds guy. I have him picked for next week for Martinsville. He's one of my top guys. Maybe he was really being held back at those other teams he was at. I don't know. But he's running really great in that 60 car. Noticeably better. So really happy for Ryan Preece. But BK, a driver of a different era. You talk about the Gen 7 car and the next Gen Cup car. Some of these drivers who have transitioned from, multiple generations of car have talked about how they had to change their driving style. And it seems like Brad is kind of hitting that stride now where it's getting a little more difficult for him as he's been in all these different experiences. This car is not the same to drive as a lot of the others. And he had great success in that Darlington race last year. That was awesome. Couldn't help myself. Truly, I couldn't. That casserole scheme is so hot. Anyway. And then Ty Gibbs. I keep seeing the teardown. Talk about, is it time to sound the alarm on Ty Gibbs? Should we be worried about Ty Gibbs? There is no alarm for Ty Gibbs. It doesn't exist. Ty Gibbs is not worried about his performance right now or about his job security. All right? He's not worried about it. That 54 team is in a rebuild phase. We saw him come out. He exceeded expectations early in his, in that time in the 54. This year, it's kind of a step back. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to get the resources that they need to set that car up and for Ty to be more competitive than he is right now. I think there's, but I don't think it's right for people to be like, oh my God, Ty is going to be sitting on the couch soon. No, wrong. It's one of the perks. He's got the right last name. So, I think he's got the talent, the skill, and the ability. He's got the time to develop it. He's got the opportunity to be in the seat. So that's, 90% of the battle right there. But I don't think it's time to sound the alarm on him in any way. So we'll see kind of what happens with the rest of the season in terms of his results. But you're going to see Ty Gibbs around for many, 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 many years to come. Okay, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to go blow my nose. Horatio Hornblower. I'll be right back. Oh, can I put something up here? While I'm going to put this QR code up here. Can I put all the QR codes up here at the same time? Oh no, I can only put one up there at a time. I'm going to leave that up there. Oh, my back. Oh. All right. I left the QR codes up there just because I wasn't up here. But anyway, we were talking about Ty Gibbs and some of the folks who want to sound the alarm. So I appreciate everybody who's scanning the QR codes. That even if you whatever you choose to do after the fact, that's cool. I appreciate it. I'm going to take them off there now, unless you want them back on there. But yeah, that's about the gist of the sound the alarm for me. I don't, Larson wins the race. I think we mentioned that, right? That was an important part of that, the whole piece. But after Homestead in the Cup Series, William Byron leads the points, right? Yep, after Homestead Miami. Kyle Larson with the win takes over possession of second place. He's up 4 spots in the ranks. Alex Bowman moves up 2 spots to third in points. Tyler Reddick drops 1 to fourth. Christopher Bell, even with those 3 wins, which is crazy, is in fifth in points. Chase Elliott in second, or I'm sorry, down 2 spots in sixth in points. Bubba Wallace, we talked about, Wallace is going to move up through those standings. Just watch and see. We are watching. We are seeing. He's up 4 spots to 7th place in the point standings, ahead of one Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher, Steady Eddie in 9th in the point standings, and then Ryan Blaney in 10th, down 3 spots. 2 DNFs will do it to you. He's getting good stage points, but to have the issues that he's had the last 2 weeks is really tough. Josh Berry with his win, by the way, is in 12th, only behind Joey Logano in 11th. So I try to run down here through the whole. I'm not running down here through the whole list. We saw Carson Hocevar in the chat this morning. Carson is a win and you're in boy. He is down 5 spots, 27th in points. So they know what the job is over there. They know what the job's going to be to get themselves into the playoffs. And I think if you're not picking Carson Hocevar at a intermediate track or a drafting track this year in your fantasy, or you're not talking about him, I think you're mistook. You're being mistook, because what we saw at Atlanta was a preview. I think he could run out there and do that and win. Yeah, I had him in for Daytona earlier this year. I didn't have him for Atlanta, I don't think. I'd have to go back and look. But I think he's somebody that should be paid attention to at these drafting style tracks. You know who else is doing well this year? Is AJ Allmendinger. He had a great finish at Homestead. He's up to 20th in points, up 3 spots. But it's always this same circulating group where it's the 24, the 5, the 48, the 20, the 9. I love seeing Bubba break into this category, though. Denny breaking in, I love that progressive scheme he's got now. I'm a big fan of that blue race cars. I think it looks good on track. That big P on the hood, very cool, very different. We talked about the Xfinity Series. Larson kind of getting bounced out of a win there by the late caution. But what does the rest of the series look like in terms of point standings? We're talking about Justin Allgaier, back-to-back wins, top of the board. Sam Mayer in second in the point standings with Jesse Love, Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed moving up 2 spots to 5th, Sammy Smith in 6th, Connor Zilich, the Phenom rookie, the Whiz Kid, 7th place. He's up 2 spots. We know he's good at road courses. We've seen him running at ovals fairly well. He ran at Homestead for a short period there toward the middle of the race where he was really, really, really competitive. Ryan Sieg in 8th. Eric Almirola, the part-timer. We've spent a lot of time talking about Eric Almirola, but here he is, part-time, 9th in points. And then Taylor Gray in 10th. Harrison Burton, 11th. Jeb Burton, 12th. Brandon Jones, 13th. Notable driver this year, Carson Quapple, in 14th. Shouts to the homie Daniel Dye, 16th in points. Who else? That's about it. I mean, there's 53 entries in this list for Xfinity this year. There's a lot of people here. The homie Justin Bonsignor, he's a local guy from the Northeast. Just running part-time in that 19 this year, sharing a seat with Almirola and a couple of the guys. Didn't quite have the luck he was looking for at Homestead Miami, but hopefully we'll see him back in that seat again soon. And I don't know what his schedule looks like, but hopefully we'll see him back in that car soon and getting some results. Good morning, Stock Car Talk. How are we doing this morning? I would imagine if Almirola doesn't, you're not eligible for a playoff spot if you don't run a certain number of races, right? I'll be honest with you, I don't know how that whole system works in terms of the part-timers. In the truck series, point standings, it's Heim time at the top with Ty Majeski in second, 8 points back. Chandler Smith in third, Grant Enfinger in fourth, Stuart Friesen, my man, Big Stu. He got a dirt win the other night in the dirt modifieds. Big Stu, 52, in fifth in the points. Tyler Ankrum, Daniel Hemrick, Lane Riggs, Jake Garcia, and Caden Honeycutt all wrapping up that top 10. Matt Crafton kind of on the outside looking in, but moving up in 14th. Raja Karuth in 18th in points. Everyone's favorite Malcolm in 20th in points right now. So it'll be interesting to see how those point standings are affected as things go on. Martinsville is this week coming up. And we know how Martinsville is. We know what happens in Martinsville. Will he lose the playoff spot when he runs the Indy race? They said he missing a start. Larson. Larson will attempt to do the double. Oh, man. Larson will attempt to do the double. I don't know what they're going to do with it in terms of if he misses the start again. They basically made the waiver rule to exclude him from doing the double, to which Hendrick said he will still do the double. So I think the ruling there is if he can't be granted a waiver, but he's won a race, so he wouldn't lose his playoff spot, but he'd lose all his playoff points before that time. It's really confusing, and it really doesn't make any sense. Obviously, they're contractually obligated to be at these racetracks and running these NASCAR sanctioned events. And I understand NASCAR doesn't want to get beat at their own game. When you hear drivers talk, though, like, hey, do you want to run the double? People say, yeah, the Indy 500 is that race. It's the race. And I agree. I don't think the Coke 600 is bigger than the Indy 500. It's the biggest, one of the biggest NASCAR events on the calendar. It's a crown jewel. If you said, oh, would you rather race in the Daytona 500 or the Indy 500? I think you're getting a little closer to apples to apples. I think the Coke 6 and the Indy 500 are kind of apples to oranges. It's a little different. It's not quite the same. Big in the same family, but not quite at the same level, in my opinion. And I don't think you're going to see drivers stop trying to do the double. I think Larson is the one who's doing it right now. Kyle Busch has expressed interest in running the double if he could get the support. Christopher Bell talked about if he had the chance, he'd run the double. I'm sure there's lots of drivers that would like to be a part of that and experience the thrill of the double. I think it's really attractive to them, and it's being able to showcase your skill in multiple disciplines of motorsports. So I'm here for it. I appreciate everybody who's stopping in right now. It says 53 people across the ATYL platforms are watching live. I appreciate every single one of you for being here, for chatting with us this morning as we're talking. We do this every Tuesday morning, the Splash and Dash Morning Show. Right here on ATYL, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as well as the Slide Job Sal TikTok account. You can find me on TikTok and on Instagram, as well as Twitter, but mostly on Instagram and TikTok. That's where I hang out. Martinsville this weekend, though. I know I'm kind of buzzing through, so bear with me. Martinsville Speedway, the paperclip. It is a track where the elbows are out. I want results from 2024. That's what I'm looking for. I want apple soccer moms. Bring some oranges for the week. You got to get your vitamin C up, brother. That's what it's all about. So it was last year that we had the Hendrick 40th anniversary 1-2-3 finish at Martinsville. This was in the spring. And then in the fall race was the controversy. Right? I just want to make sure. I get my years mixed up. I'm not like, I got to make sure I got it right. April 4th to April 7th. There was a playoff race here. It wasn't in April. Do we know what tire they'll bring to Martinsville? Let's see. See what the good people of the internet have to say. So they're going to run the same tire according to Reddit. So take this with a grain of salt. According to Reddit, the tires have already been mounted for Martinsville. Orders have been finalized. It is the same tire that ran last fall and the tire that they ran at Bowman Gray. So if they were going to do the softer tire, we'd probably have heard something. So it makes sense that, oh, they're not doing it. All right, So it seems like it's going to be a repeat of the fall. Seems like it's going to be a repeat of the fall race. So last year in the Cup Series, we had Ryan Blaney win that race. This was the race where, like, Christopher Bell, everybody was like riding along with each other here, right? That was this race. The Xfinity 500. This was the source of the controversy, right? Jam, thanks for hanging out all this time this morning. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you again, hopefully this week, next week. In the interim, we'll be around. But yeah, Martinsville's in Virginia. I talked about going to this track this weekend, but it's just with moving and everything happening for me, it's going to be a little more difficult. So probably going to hold off on this one, keep the money in my pocket for the race weekend, and try to head out to something different as we get into the summer months. Like I said, Dover is not until July, but I'm looking to go down to Charlotte the week of Easter. So the 18th to the 20-something. So I'm just going to go down to Charlotte. I'm going to do a scouting trip down there. I'd like to move down there along in my life along the way if I can find a reason to be there, if you know what I mean. Hopefully there's opportunities to make that a real thing. But until such a time, I just kind of go and I scope things out and I see what's going on and try to make it make sense. So as soon as Penske gets that motor running, Blaney finishing a race outside the top 5. I wouldn't be surprised if Blaney won this race this weekend at Martinsville, to be really honest with you. I think he won it in the fall. He runs really well here. He qualifies really well here. If they can keep the thing in one piece, there should be no reason he shouldn't just finish in the top 5, but he should win. Yeah, so I tried to convince my other half to go to Martinsville. She's like, "Well, that's a small track, and it's not as fast. So, like, can we just go to one where they drive faster?" And I was like, I mean, if you're coming with me, I guess we're gonna go to one that we both want to go to. So, so we'll see. Who did I pick for my? So I do fantasy and I do ATYL picks, which is our kind of internal fantasy that we do. But I'll kind of share some of my. I'll kind of share some of what I have for this week coming up. So I have Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Ryan Preece, and Ryan Blaney. Those are my picks this week. You can join the NASCAR Fantasy League, the Slide Job Sal Fantasy League on the NASCAR app. It's there. Just search Slide Job Sal. I can also send links out to folks if you're interested. Shoot me a DM. I'm happy to send out fantasy links for all of you to join and be a part of the league. Just for fun, Don't feel weird if you're coming in a couple weeks late or whatever. I mean, I am not the top of the league, so you have plenty of chances to beat Sal. ATYL points battle, though, this week, I almost snuck out with a win, but definitely helped myself in overall standings in the ATYL points battle this week. I see a lot of people picking Larson and Hamlin and Byron. I see a Josh Berry in here. I see an Allmendinger in here. I wouldn't count out Hocevar either for this one. I've seen him run Martinsville in iRacing. Guy knows what he's doing. But no, it should be a great week of racing, short track racing. I'm excited for it. I mean, there's a lot of cautions, but I'm not so hot on Seabell this week. You win 3 in a row. It's honestly, you cool down a little bit, right? So there's nothing that says he can't win. I mean, he's the thoroughbred horse over there at Joe Gibbs Racing. He is the top of he's top of the talent right now over there, in my opinion. We do a little screen switching around here. We'll make this small. We'll bring this over here. Oh, that's way too small. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second as I'm setting this up. So at the end of every stream, I try to do a little Wordle to get people's brains working. Let's see. Can I bring up a second screen? I can if I doing the right thing here. Okay. Okay. Look at all these. They have new screen options here. I'm gonna hide the chat for just 1 second. The TikTok chat. Okay. I'm thinking Byron, honestly. I think Byron could be his week. I mean, the Daytona 500, he won, right? But he hasn't, he's finished really consistently in the top of the field the last few. But I think this could be the breakthrough for him, potentially. They run really good here. All right, Wordle time. I'm going to try not to have it ruined. Oh. No way this is it, but there's an L. There's our L. Okay. Okay, so we have EL back to back. Oh man, Sal's speaking of back to back, Sal's back is crying out in pain today. Just absolutely crying out in pain. Ellie, Swell, SWELL. If I can spell. The double letter is a risky move, right? Oh, we got one left. So chat, if you know it, you can come on in and ruin it for me. I tried. Keselowski winning at Martinsville would be something after I sat here and said they should be hitting the panic button on him. Joey Lomelli. I think you're coming from the top rope, Joey. Joey knows what he's doing. Joey saved us. Thank you, Joey. Big dubs in the chat. Big W's in the chat for Joey for coming in and saving us at the last minute. There's my show notes. Boop. All right. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Shelf is the Wordle. Sorry to all of you who have now seen that, and I have ruined it for. Big day here on the morning show. It felt like we were going to have a good one today. I came to the table kind of semi-prepared to break it out and have a good morning. Elliott versus Blaney is a tough featured pick for this week in fantasy. Has anybody played with some of these other fantasy apps? I'm seeing some other creators online talk about some of these other fantasy selection apps. And like, I need another fantasy app, like I need another hole in my head. But it's always fun to get involved at this level. It's cool. I don't even know what that is, Cody. Never heard of it. I have some friends that have started wagering on NASCAR. I do not do that personally, but yeah. It's fun to play the fantasy just with your friends. That's my game. Thank you. Yeah, so Sal's trying to save for a house. It's very expensive to do that here in New Jersey. Everybody likes to talk about how expensive California is, right? And I imagine that people in Trenton are sitting there just, yes, keep talking about expensive California, not how exactly expensive New Jersey is. That is what I think happens at a state government level here in New Jersey, in the Garden State, because everybody just dookies on California, but don't realize that California is has the fifth largest GDP globally. Like, there's land and things out there. And it's gross to spend money like those people spend to live, but it's even worse here, for what you get for the money, in my opinion. But I appreciate that. Hopefully, we won't. Hopefully, it won't affect too much of the live schedule. Yeah, I've looked around like the Mooresville area, Cornelius, Concord, Rock Hill. I've looked down that way. It's hard to relocate just by yourself, like without your family. So, I know a lot of people from the Northeast are moving down there. Raleigh, Durham seems to be like the stop for a lot of Northerners as they move south. I will say, though, that in terms of home prices, for the 2-bedroom house I could buy here, I could get a 4 or 5-bedroom house in the Carolinas. And that's why a lot of people are migrating south, that I've noticed from my circles of the world. It's just, you get more bang for your buck at the end of the day. Also, like, it's just like there are people with more money pushing us out, so we are now having to push into other areas. Yeah, I'm not like, I've worked from home the last 2 years, so I have really become an antisocial kind of person. I like people, but if you've ever been in the Northeast or spent time in the Northeast, the people here are different than anywhere else. We are the rudest, most vulgar human beings in the world. When I travel a lot, when I go to the South or even out West, the people are just so different. They're so much more. I don't know. There's just I, like, it's just so different in a good way. Not the people in Jersey aren't bad. Like, but you have to understand it more being here. Yeah, I can imagine Mooresville gets more folks from up north here. A little Times Square. I'm not a big Times Square guy. I don't like the big one too much. So I don't, maybe the little one's a little more suitable, but I just, anything Times Square related, I'm not really into. Um, but as we're coming to the end here, wrapping up, please support Happy Hour Racing. They support us, so we'd really appreciate if you're looking for officially licensed NASCAR gear and you are shopping around for something new, whether it's headwear, outerwear, die casts, anything that you might be looking to grab up this season. Wind shirts. There's a great Josh Berry design that I've seen floating around. The name of the creator is going to skip my brain. Starts with an L. La 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 something. Really awesome wind shirt that was designed. You can get all kinds of different graphics and different tees and outerwear and whatever. So we appreciate you supporting the people who support us. I see there's 5 QR code scans today. I don't know what they were for. I had the other one up here too with the bucket hat. We also partner with Diecast Stand Display Company, Benzik Designs. So if you're looking for 1/24th diecast displays, They come in little racks of 4 like that. I think I need about 10 of those in my current situation to hang them all up on the wall. Then we have the 118th, the Le Mans car. So a lot going on there. But if you're looking for things, we'd love for you to support the people who support us. But that's the end of my shameless plug to get you to buy things. That's not why we're here. Joey, thank you for following and for helping us out with the Wordle. But we're looking forward to Martinsville, guys. Any predictions? Last minute predictions? Top 5 finishers or winners outright that you guys have? 70 people. That's pretty bananas, huh? 63 people on Twitter, 0 people on Facebook, which is okay, and 7 on YouTube, as well as the 4 of you here tuning in on TikTok. I appreciate it tremendously. I appreciate all the support. Hopefully we can continue to grow the morning show and take this on in a little bit more of a serious way as we forge through the season here and give you guys some good morning talk. Get it all out. Appreciate Carson Hocevar himself, the man, the myth, the legend, coming into the TikTok chat today. It wasn't fake. Here he was, Carson Hocevar. Funny, I was scrolling and I heard my name. We're gonna grab a screenshot of that before we head out for today. Always get a little starstruck when some of the drivers pop in. It's not every day that kind of stuff happens. But I'm glad that I'm coming up in the algorithm for them. That we're where we want to be, right? We had 4 new followers today too on the TikTok, so I appreciate that tremendously. I posted some NHRA content early this morning, so if you see that, like that, engage with that. Josh Berry with the top 5. I think you're onto something there, Timber Race. I think you're definitely onto something there. That car has run way better this year with that Penske partnership that they're going after. I think it's been a big improvement. Josh Berry is the people's the man of the people. He's one of us. Came up on his own merit. So really excited to see him succeed this year. Continue to succeed this year. I'm a big fan of the host of our crew. I like it. They're running that Ziegler Auto sponsor this year, the Chili sponsor. I said it before, he and Gregson are like my 2 like young drivers that I really love like engaging with online and seeing how they engage with folks online. It's been fun to see how they are kind of moving the needle in the social world, especially with that GTA 6 piece. That was really cool that they were able to do something like that and pull that off. But I'm good as long as the 11 or the 22 don't win. Not a fan. I wouldn't hate to see Denny win. Logano I could go without, but Denny I've softened up to over time. It's been a while since we've seen him back in victory lane. I got his podcast on my dock today. Actions Detrimental in DBC on the dock for today. Some good content coming out. Make sure you're checking out Above the Yellow Line on YouTube though, as I talk about other people's content that isn't ours. There's so much that you can be a part of in the Above the Yellow Line media communities. We have people, let's see, I'm going to go through it because I never remember the actual list. Okay, so Taylor just had a secret project reveal she did, which is a giant racetrack. Spoiler alert. Very cool video, though. Make sure you watch it. We're doing Grand Prix previews with the motorsports enthusiast, John. We're doing 4 laps. It's an IndyCar show. Lights Out with Johnny Roberts is on ATYL Media. We're doing Cars Tour stuff with Buddy Pulley. All kinds of great content that go up here all the time. And we've really put our foot down. Virtual Race Hub with Big Duke is also followed with, hold on, I'm going to get the name right. I'm going to get it right. Goat Talk, which is the guys from Goat Locker Racing. You can find my YouTube channel on there as well, but I don't really post to my YouTube channel directly. They don't really have collaborative posts on YouTube. They're developing that for TikTok. So this hat is 1 of 1. But I would love to get a couple together and sell them if enough people are interested. I was talking about it earlier, and I reached out to the individual who made this one for me and tried to get some more, but they were kind of pricey per unit. Like, even if I sold them at what I paid for them, it would still be a little expensive. You know, I don't really want to fleece people for a hat unless you really want to, unless you really people feel really very strongly about it. Let's see. This wasn't the right seller. I'm trying to pull it up now. So if I do 5 hats, I'd pay $40 a hat. It's not exactly the cheapest solution. So I don't know if people want to pay $40 for this hat. I'll get a couple and I'll sell them. But I tried looking into some other distributors for hats. There's one in particular as I'm looking up on my wall here. But you have to have an LLC, like a business license, to register to get distribution from the company. And I'm not quite that deep into this to have the Sly Job Sal LLC. I mean, I'm all for, like, if you guys want apparel or have ideas for apparel designs, I mean, I would love to hear that and start to develop some cool stuff, because I tried to keep this one like more generic, right? It doesn't have my name on it. Like, it's just, you could be a fan of the show and wear this hat because you want to support. Or you could wear it just because you like racing. Like, that's the goal, is to have that balance of the style in the apparel, where it's not like weird. There's like, oh, that guy watches the Splash and Dash morning show. Galaxy, this is the Splash and Dash morning show. We are a 2-hour, usually. We're over today, 2 hours and 15 minutes. Motorsports live stream, mostly NASCAR, but we do talk about modifieds and Cletus McFarlane races and whatever pops up in our world, IndyCar and F1 sometimes when there's something to be talked about. We do this on Above the Yellow Line Media on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as right here on the Sly Job Sal TikTok account. That's what we do each and every Tuesday. Yeah. Yep. I am. This is a hat. I have it on my head. It's the Sly Job hat. It's the one of one. I stole this idea from John, the motorsports enthusiast. Well, somebody asked if they could purchase the hat. That's why we're talking about the hat. So somebody definitely does care, because they cared enough to ask. That's all I'm saying. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up on the ATYL Media channels. I appreciate everybody who clicked on the QR and engaged with the stream today. 74 of you here to finish things out. Really appreciate the support. Follow along ATYL Media. Tune into everything that's going on the YouTube channel. And I appreciate